And good morning. Welcome to the Cornbread Man morning show. Dave in the AM, the Cornbread Man. A little bit later than I intended. Sorry about that. A couple of complications. You get these things that happen. I know those are excuses, but they do happen. But we're still here with you in your early morning news look. And the news has been shifting throughout our night here on the East Coast of the United States in the Eastern time zone. And action is always ahead of us in the Middle East. As we went to bed, they were talking of a historic ceasefire between Israel and Iran, but you didn't really hear that from the parties. You had heard a lot of talk about it. It's nothing against anyone. It's just the nature of things. And whether you want to blame Iran, whether you want to blame Israel, or whether you want to blame both, uh, there has been a breaking of the ceasefire. But in fact, when they announced it, the ceasefire was to take effect at a certain point. They were not at that point yet anyway, as they were ahead of us. It was supposed to be their Tuesday. It was still our Monday. That has already been broken. And so the news this morning early is that Israel is ordering high intensity strikes on targets in Tehran after accusing Iran of violating the ceasefire. This is after the president had already announced a historic ceasefire, and that oil futures had came down $3 a barrel as they saw this ceasefire was to take effect, which it still could. This is just the way things go. They had even had Iran had announced a location and a time of a weak response to show face, undoubtedly, to their people and their Middle Eastern neighbors from Iran's side. The president even thanked them for the acknowledgement of letting them know that ahead of time, and there was no damage. Think about everything was shot out of the air. But Israel has said that Iran has violated the ceasefire, and now the fighting goes on, at least for a time going forward. So it's sometimes one step forward, two steps back in the Middle East. Now, that's something the president is having to negotiate and navigate. It's been the same with the Russians and the Ukrainians. As soon as they think they are close to some sort of an agreement, one side will break it, and then the fighting just continues. So, as he would say, and he has said in the Russian Ukrainian war that is now, my goodness, 4 years in, uh, that they apparently are not ready for peace just yet. Well, we could say that here, even though the Iranian military, in some cases, has been decimated in their ability to respond. Many leaders have been killed. Leaders have been ordered to stay. The ones who replaced the departing leaders have been ordered to stay underground at all times and to not use their cell phones because of Israel's ability to track them, know their movements, and take them out at will. So there we go. Now, I don't know what targets that they are still highlighting, that being from Israel's side in Tehran, but it looks as though the fighting will go forward. The Al Udeid Air Base in Qatar was the location for the 14 missiles that Iran fired in retaliation towards U.S. assets in the region for the strikes that occurred in and around uh, Iran on their nuclear sites, which Intel now is saying that their ability to make nuclear weapons has been decimated, that they will not be able to do that in one heck of a long time. Now, there's still some question of where the uranium they had already somewhat enriched, where it is at, the location of that, but they wouldn't be able to do anything with it. Now, the Russians, for their part, have said we can help them out with nuclear weapons. That's alarming to hear. Of course, the Chinese are always lurking in the shadows to help their friend Iran, who has been a state sponsor of terrorism in the region for one heck of a long time. Uh, Iran's threats to close the Strait of Hormuz has believed there's no way they could do that in any kind of a long-term effect, that they would immediately be those assets would be destroyed if they tried to do that. It's very tough for the president to navigate the way that politics works and the way the culture works in the Middle East. You know, he sees things I mean, most people do. There's a lot of unwritten codes and rules and things in the Middle East, and how the thinking is of some of these people. And the more radical they are, the more they don't care, obviously, to even die. And they see themselves as martyred. In fact, there has been a progression plan that has been put forth by Khomeini, the supreme leader, the mullah, for his replacement among three that he has selected and they were to vote on in case of his, and he believes, soon impending death at the hands of the Israelis or the Americans, but he believed it to be the Israelis. And that's just the way it rolls in that region. Um, and even before the breaking of the ceasefire, the United States and its citizens, military, contractors, etc., undoubtedly have to be on high alert in the region because everyone was considered a target. And when you can't attack an enemy straight on, if you don't have the assets to do that, and they have no air force, I mean, the skies over Iran are owned by Israel and the Americans if they so chose. I mean, there's no resistance now. I don't even know if there's any aircraft weaponry left. Israel has totally obliterated their ability to fight that. So they can't respond that way. But what they can do is do acts of terror, which is alarming to Americans because of those in the country they don't even know who they are. That could be, set forth to commit acts of terror within the boundaries of the continental United States, but certainly in the regions of other countries where they would have an easier time of getting to them, their families, and or their assets. We'd already mentioned that planes had already been moved off the tarmac at some locations where the United States has bombers and other fighter jets because of fear of not only of missile attacks, but just like Ukraine pulled off the drone swarms that could occur, and these could come from any location. It's also a fear within the United States that assets could be assembled and then set into motion. And so there is a lot of talk and a lot of uh, uh, things that have been put forth as far as financials to protect the planes. There's different ideas of how to do that, but they are certainly worried that it could strike here in America. Now, the rules of engagement are different, obviously, within the United States than without. So the military is more restricted within the United States of how they can respond outside of their airspace. And even within their airspace, there are some things that they have to be careful with. But some would say, well, you could just jam the signal of the drone in their airspace, but that's not, the location is not so static, meaning that if you jam the signals over your base, you could also jam the signals of civilian aircraft and cause accidents to happen. So it restricts what you can do within the United States and towards things that may be coming towards your base. So there has been some things that's even been signed recently by the president to put in motion some protections that could uh, hide these planes. So they're looking at ways to do that even now. It'll take a little time to develop that, but that's the new world that we live in. And this attack by Ukraine on Russia really highlighted, uh, really, even though it was a fairly complex operation, relatively easy, given the right abilities of the people and getting the right resources secretly delivered in pieces to a location. You could assemble a swarm of these drones fairly easily and uncomplicated and attack not just military assets but civilian. So it is something that with the balloons that have came over our nation, the drones, there's all kinds of things that can happen that a terror attack could cause, and there's a fear of within the United States. That could be electrical grid, that could be water our water resources, and or just high targets of high civilian say ball game or something. There's a lot of things that could happen that would be very upsetting and cause a lot of chaos within the United States. Now, we would hope that those, pardon me, we would hope that those opportunities are very low and rare. But we have seen the bragging that Ukraine did on the ability to set up shop even within inside the borders of Russia, even using Russian truck drivers. Unbeknownst to them, were delivering the payload to a location. In one case, trying to stop the payload once they realized it was lifting off from their vehicle. They had no clue. So, we'd like to think that our intelligence is so good and protections is so good that couldn't happen. We don't know what has been able to be infiltrated into our nation over the last 4 years. Even if the borders are tighter today, they weren't at one time. And there were a lot of people that poured over and or assets they may have been carrying. So we just don't know. So that's kind of where we are this morning. And, we will see. Now, I applaud the president. He is trying very hard, and he's made some great strides in something that is very difficult to attain, and especially once that genie, so to speak, has been let out of the bottle. Once you've opened war, it's really hard to pull that down, to stop that. And even though Israel is an ally to the United States, there's not always an agreement there. And Israel is in a mode right now where they're going to hit anything and everything while they can, as long as they can. So if Iran did break, I don't have the intel to know that they did or if they didn't, but if Iran, according to the Israelis, broke the ceasefire, he just gave them open season to continue. That's got to be distressing to the president this morning as he's briefed by his national security intelligence, what they call the intelligence room, he calls the war room. And when he gets that briefing, which may be occurring as we speak, because that is a very high level and early meeting. The president is a workaholic, and his hours is amazing, his stamina, given his age. But those are early morning, and if not happening now, they will be happening soon, as they gathered information throughout the night of what's going on there. And I'm sure calls will be made this morning to Israel to try to get them to tap that down, and also make maybe even through channels to the Iranians to stop. We will see what happens. This is almost a 2-week bombing campaign that has occurred on Iran after Israel began its operation. And, of course, they made their statements about the United States, the partnership that is held, but it looks as though the Americans made this strike and then are not going to be involved in anything else. The president, well, he has been attacked by many supporters for continuing to make attacks in the region and stuff for assets that may need to be attacked, as still said that he is not wanting to get into wars. A lot of people that voted for him, a significant number, have been upset and saying, we do not, what are we doing? I didn't vote for this. Presidents have to lead. It's difficult. It's not always easy. And I believe the president has tried to live up to his campaign promises. It is obvious that he was given intel while at the G7. While we may never know exactly in our lifetime what was said, it undoubtedly must have mentioned to the fact that the Iranians maybe already had the weapon. There's rumors that they had a smaller level grade nuclear bomb. Now, or the ability to make it, but they moved into action very quickly. This operation went from 2 weeks to 2 days, and here we are. The Iranians are not going to give up easily because they still have, as I said, a lot of ability to wage terror in the region. Their contacts spread across the Middle East, and dare I say, across the world. They have their other proxies that will be glad to help them and assist them. And Russians cannot be happy. The Russians cannot be happy that their drone supplier has been hit like this. This will impact Russia's ability to wage war in some ways in Ukraine because the Iranians have been supplying the Russians with a lot of their aerial drones and other type of vehicles that they have been using to strike targets deep within Ukraine. So, and obviously the Chinese are a partner as well in some ways. The Chinese are dealing with some things anyway. They've got some economic issues going on, and now they have massive flooding in the nation in many of the provinces. Not to say they can't continue to do what they're doing, but it is affecting their economy. And you would have to believe that deals that Iran makes, and all of them do for oil and different things, has been impacted. Their ability to do things that they normally would do just as a status quo have been impacted and attacked, and in some cases destroyed. So there is undoubtedly the cyber attacks that will be directed, have been, and these will probably intensify. These are things that can be done from just about anywhere, and certainly the Russians have always been involved with it, and the Iranians as well. And so you could have cyber attacks on undoubtedly water systems or electrical grids. If they were to crack those codes, they can cause a lot of damage. So the cybersecurity for certainly nations within the Middle East, but the United States itself, this is areas that we must protect against because those attacks are always on. If you drop the electrical grid, it's not just flipping a switch and bringing it back up. It takes days to weeks, depending on how much has been shut down. There are estimates that have been done by power companies across the United States, in particular the Texas grid, where there was almost a shutdown a few years ago, and they were within seconds of the whole grid dropping, and they did a loss analysis of that, including human life. The numbers were pretty staggering. Think about the heat that we have right now across the southeastern United States. You imagine the horror if all of a sudden millions of Americans did not have any air conditioning to use, and also the air conditioning on our systems to keep those cool. These are the kinds of things that you must worry about as the United States in your infrastructure. Then the disruption to shipping lanes. Disruption to shipping lanes as even if they didn't shut down, but cause some maybe a ship or two to sink. They mine the strait or something, and just that threat of that and delay of that if some goods and services were not able to be transported, including oil, how that might attack the financial systems of not only the United States but the world. This is something they're obviously going to put a lot of. We have a lot of assets in the region, three main carrier groups, and some of those are right in that region. And so I don't think there will be too much they can do right now. We also have submarine activity there, as was used in the attack to fire the Tomahawk missiles. So I don't think that these threats are credible at the moment, but it's something that will have to be handled. And obviously, our United States is on high alert. Our military and the administration itself are on high alert for that. So we will see. The news will be fluid today in this area as the president continues to be briefed. On the home front, the president is being attacked a lot for, quote, was this order for the strike, was he able to do that, or was it done outside of Congress? So the Democrats are really attacking him, but I don't think that they have anywhere that they can go with this. Presidents have long been able to order these kinds of strikes, some much more, without going to Congress and a declaration of war. So I don't think that they will have any leg to stand on, but they're certainly trying to make that claim. But not only Democrats, but those within his own party. And there is an ongoing war of words between the president and Representative Thomas Massey, Republican Kentucky, who have been challenging the president in these areas. And the president has been very vocal on his Truth social network of his feelings towards Representative Massey and asking for him to be, by the people voting in his district to vote him out. There was a resolution that was introduced days before the strike by Representative Massey and Khanna, a Democrat out of California, and they are claiming that the president's actions require congressional authorization. And so I don't. And there are other resolutions that are being attempted to put limits on the president's ability. Undoubtedly, the Supreme Court will weigh in on this. Again, I don't think at this point there's any way they can do anything with this other than to use it as a battering ram in public to inflame the people who do not like the administration nor the strike. And those could come from both sides of the aisle and causing problems. Speaking of the Supreme Court, they did give the president an open door to move people out of the United States, even to other countries besides their country of origin. So even though there has been some things that have the president has been limited on, in this case the Supreme Court did rule in his favor, and those deportations will continue. In another case, they did block his bid to close Harvard to international students. So the president is navigating certain rulings by federal judges and or the Supreme Court, but most things are moving forward as he had planned. So speaking of Representative Massey again, once more real quickly, he claimed that the Iran strike was not MAGA. And this is the argument that some supporters have said that I did not vote for this, and that the claim is that by some that he doesn't understand the way that the foreign diplomacy works, how to handle foreign governments, and certainly he has had some failures in this area, but overall he has been able to navigate this pretty well, and he has received some high praise from many across the world. I don't think anyone besides the axis of evil would defend Iran. Even if they don't like President Trump, they're not going to defend Iran too much. So these are the things that are early in our news today that the president is continuing to move forward. The ceasefire is not holding yet, but it may yet take hold. And American resources are still in the region, and we will see what the Iranians do. And can he get the Israel to back off and get a ceasefire hold, which would be important, obviously, for a lot of things. And then also domestically, the continued deportations and where we're at, we're getting closer to the deadline for the, quote, big, beautiful bill that needs to be voted on in the days coming forward. He had set a July 4th deadline for that, and we are just about 10 days away from that. So as we approach the holiday, the celebrations that will be occurring, there'll be a lot of activity on the Hill before the break and before they can leave. Maybe a delay in that as well to see if they can get that taken care of. Hey, this is the Cornbread Man with your Cornbread Man morning show. We thank you for listening. Be sure to switch over and watch us on our video side across many streams here at the 6 a.m. hour. We appreciate you so much. Have a great day. We'll see you tomorrow, sometime after 5. We'll try to make it 5:15, and we'll update you on what happens today as we look at the ceasefire and can it be salvaged by the president.
why does it hurt?